Warning: the following conversation may cause spontaneous quoting of Aleister Crowley, uncontrollable humming of folk songs about demons, and a deep conviction that your cat is secretly your holy guardian angel. Side effects may include debating whether the fool is card 0 or 22, mispronouncing Hebrew words with too much confidence, and waking up at 3:33 a.m. convinced that your neighbor's leaf blower is actually an Enochian trumpet. This episode is powered by Tarotella, the world's first hazelnut spread infused with 78 minor arcana vitamins and minerals. Whether you're interpreting the lovers or just wondering why you keep drawing the tower, Tarotella makes sure you get your daily dose of synchronicity. Because when life gets occult, you need something to spread on toast that's both mystical and delicious. It's also brought to you by Cabal Energy, the only energy drink balanced on all 10 Sephiroth. One sip, and you'll sprint up the tree of life faster than a Freemason late to lodge. This is your final warning. Prolonged use may result in ecstatic visions, spontaneous invocations of Metatron, and the sudden urge to lecture strangers about gematria at gas stations. Today, we open the grimoire with Lon Milo DuQuette, tarot master, ceremonial magician, Kabbalistic explorer, Mason, and the only man alive who can make the Book of Thoth sound like a bedtime story. From fear as the great poison of spiritual practice, to the holy guardian angel, to the secret power of music as an occult force, Lon weaves wisdom, humor, and a wink of cosmic mischief into the arcane tapestry. So grab your favorite tarot deck, tune your guitar, and don't forget your Masonic apron. Because this episode is less a show and more a magical initiation disguised as two guys talking to one of the world's most beloved mystics.
Hello, and welcome back to Brothers of the Arcana. As always, I am your co-host, Alex Aldea.
I'm your co-host, Dave Ferrigno.
And with us today, we have Lon Milo DuQuette, who is a world-class tarot master. I'm not sure what the proper moniker is for one who masters the tarot, but world-class musician and just an all-around really cool guy. So we love to have you on, and we thank you for being on, number one. And let's start off a little bit with let's start off with tarot. You wrote a book, and it's a fantastic book. My friend Danny, who also will be on the podcast, he happens to be an architect and a Mason, like all three of us, bought us each a copy of your book. Yes, exactly. That's the Water Buffalo Lodge, Lon. That's not the Masons. That's Tuesdays. This is Wednesday. So yeah, what got you into the tarot? I mean, I know, I've read the book, especially your intro and getting into. I know your wife and you were instrumental in sort of bringing that deck together and allowing people to pick it and to understand what it is. But tell us a little bit about what got you into the tarot, what made it interesting.
Oh, well, sort of the back door. I started getting interested in Western mysticism after years of being a failed Eastern mystic. I found out that Eastern mysticism was hard. So I was looking for something in the West that was, cool too, but a little more suited to my spiritual exhibitionism. Well, yeah, I don't mean that, but I do mean it, because during the psychedelic 60s, Eastern mysticism was very, very attractive, and as a matter of fact, the Tao Te Ching and Hindu mysticism, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, and other sort of Western authors that treated on it, like Yogi Ramacharaka and things like that, was a wonderful introduction to esoteric subjects, whether it's Eastern or Western, and so I sort of resonated to that. But after a while, it was like trying to play Eastern software, on my Western hardware. And ultimately, it's exactly the same thing, or the same goal, and that's illumination, self-realization. But they go about it in just the opposite way. In Eastern mysticism, you go inward. Okay, you relax, you get cool. Okay, and you strip away everything that you're not. Okay, and until there's really nothing left to strip away except what you really are, and that's all fine and good. And you do that by quietly disconnecting from everything until you hit this spot where you realize you're connected to everything. They call it emptiness or nothingness, but it's nothingness that's everythingness, And but in the West, because we're kind of hardwired to want to externalize stuff and to work with these same inner dynamics outwardly. That's why we like ritual. That's why we like too much. We like scripture and things outside of ourselves that ideally represent these same inward things. So I realized I really wanted to achieve that Eastern awakening, but I was looking for a Western way to do it. And so I joined the Rosicrucian Order Amor. And
you self-initiated?
Well, everybody does with a correspondence course, but I was lucky to have a wonderful local lodge in Long Beach, and I became an active member and an officer in Abdiel Lodge in Long Beach, and that's where I discovered I really liked dressing up in robes and strutting around in the dark. I like that. Okay, that I'm
not sure what that says about you, Lon. I'm not sure what it says about me, but I mean, it's quite a thing there.
And so I was it's a nice blend of the mystic and the outward thing. And I for a while I was outer guardian, and then I was the chanter for a year or so. And we chanted vowel sounds before we meditated, which just blew me away. This is pretty cool stuff. And then I was chaplain of the lodge, but I also sort of did double duty after convocation every week, and I volunteered to be the librarian. And in my lazy ass work as librarian of that, I discovered a book in their library called QBL by Frater Akkad, and which is an introduction that a Westerner can understand, an introduction to the basic fundamentals of the Kabbalah, the Hermetic Kabbalah. And so that got me interested. Oh, gee, the Hebrew alphabet's not such a big, scary thing. No, it's really, and this is what that tree of life is about. It's like a ladder of consciousness. Okay, and these, it was a wonderful book. But in the footnotes of that book, it made reference to the Master Therian and references to Aleister Crowley. Okay, I never never heard of that name before. But I didn't think that much of it. I really liked that book. Okay. And you sure you want to hear this story?
I do.
Of course we do.
All right. Some fellow Rosicrucians at Lodge said, well, if you like that kind of Kabbalah stuff, I think you'd really like to take the BOTA Introduction to Kabbalah and Tarot. And it's a correspondence course, and you get, twice a month, you get 2 weeks worth of monographs. And that was my introduction to tarot. And that's how I saw tarot's relationship to Kabbalah. And the BOTA lessons required you to color in your own tarot deck. Okay. They gave you the line drawings. This isn't a BOTA thing, but this is my deck. Okay. But it gave you the line drawings like that. Then it gave you the color codes. Not only that, but why you're using those colors, the color scales involved. Not only that, but there's musical notes attached to each of those cards. And it was just wonderful. It's just like I got it just like that, So, but BOTA does not encourage you to use the cards for fortune telling. They said it'll cripple you spiritually, or you're in danger of crippling yourself. So I stayed away from using the tarot as a divinatory device and just used it as a meditative device for quite a few years.
Now, what was the rationale, if you don't mind my asking, for saying you would cripple yourself spiritually by doing it divinatory?
I don't know. Eventually, I thought, well, I'll just do it until I limped,
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Got it.
Until I need glasses, But the thing was, when Paul Case wrote that, tarot had just a terrible reputation. It was illegal to be a fortune teller in many places around the world, and he just wanted to stay really, really clear of all of that. Astrologers were being arrested and things like that, just almost within our lifetime, or mine anyway. So I think he just wanted to make that perfectly clear, okay, because he had, but Case had wanted the BOTA to be sort of the heir, not error, but the heir to the Golden Dawn. And Case was a member of the American branch of the Golden Dawn. And so that got me into Golden Dawn-y type stuff, and not to really be too afraid of the term magic and things like that. And then I ran across the Thoth Tarot around 1970, 71. And there's that name, Alice. There you go. There's that name, Aleister Crowley again. Of course, I pronounced it Crowley, Aleister Crowley. And I bought that tarot deck. When I first saw it, I didn't know it was a tarot deck. I was at B. Dalton Pickwick bookstore in Costa Mesa, and I saw that rose cross on the back. Okay. And on the back of the box. And I said, ooh, there you go. I said, ooh, Rose Cross. I'm into Rose Cross stuff. I'm a Rosicrucian. And I painted several Rose Crosses in my self studies in the Rosicrucians. You had to more or less teach yourself if you want to learn anything. But and then I looked at it and I turned it around and I saw it was a tarot deck. And I said, wow, I'm into tarot. I'm into rose. Oh, this looks really. And I bought the deck. I took it home and I opened it up and I saw how strange it was. It was not a BOTA or a weight kind of standard deck that I'm.
Or a Marseille deck, or
right, or any of the. I also had Augustus Knapp's tarot from the Manly Hall people, and it didn't look like any of those, but I could still recognize the landmarks and about 80 billion other things. Okay, and so in a way, I said, I don't know. This is not my grandfather's tarot deck, and I'm not in Kansas anymore, And so I looked on the side there and I saw that name, Aleister Crowley, again. And so I had an occult dictionary. It was a pamphlet. Mm-hmm. They called it an occult dictionary, but it was a pamphlet, and I got it at Ralph's, the grocery store, right at the checkout with make your own macrame and sushi and stuff. There was an occult dictionary, so I bought it at Ralph's. That was my source, and
pretty solid source right there.
Yeah. And so I opened it up and said, Aleister Crowley, famous Scottish Satanist. I said, oh, God. Oh, I don't want to do. No wonder it was so beautiful and disturbing. The devil did it, And he said at his funeral, a black mass was performed, So, I was a wild and crazy heretic, have been all my life, but I didn't want anything to do with, anything I thought was organized evil crap, And if that's who this Crowley character was, I didn't want anything to do with it. And so I gave the deck to my brother, who had the Book of Thoth, actually the book that would go with the cards. An old paperback edition is probably worth $10,000 now,
I have a reprint of it, which wasn't too expensive, but
yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, he wasn't going to read the book and he wasn't going to use the cards, but he figured they go together, And I was soon disabused about Crowley from a friend of ours that had read the Confessions of Aleister Crowley when he was living in a cave, believe it or not, in Guatemala.
Ooh.
He was doing some farming. But anyway, when he came up to visit, he disabused me. He said, everything you think you want to know about your tarot and your Kabbalah and your Rosicrucian stuff and your magic stuff, this guy knew more than anybody on the freaking planet. And if you're really serious about your studies, you're going to have to, come nose to nose with this guy, whether you like it or not. And I said, I asked him, but it says he's a Satanist. Was he a Satanist? And Bob goes, no, he wasn't a Satanist. And then he stops for a second and goes, well, yes, he was. And then he disagrees with himself. He said, but no. He said, well, look, if he was a Satanist, he was a good kind of Satanist. And boy, Yeah, boy, are you going to
If there's such a thing.
Yeah. So that's how I got involved with that. With
I want to show you two decks that are among some of my favorites. This one was given to me by a buddy. It's the Vlad Dracula Tarot, which is very cool. And this is actually one of my real favorites, which is the William Blake Tarot.
Oh, the William Blake. Yeah, gorgeous.
Isn't that a gorgeous one? It really is solid. I mean, I have a couple of more, a Cagliostro deck. I have the regular Marseille deck, which I like very, very much. So when we spoke with P.D. Newman, who you, I think, know, he wrote a couple of different books, including Angels of Vermilion, talks about DMT and Acacia as part of the Master Mason degree and many other things of that sort. He was saying, and he disagreed with Jamie Paul Lamb, who I think shares more of your outlook on tarot, where you need Kabbalah, you need astrology, you need all that other stuff to get a better sense of tarot. PD goes more towards having it be something that's intuitive. And he just uses the Marseille deck to just be intuitive with it and go at it that way. So I'm curious as to what you think about the two different sort of schools of thought on that.
Yeah, tarot works because it's perfect. Okay. I said it best in my book. Can I read you something? If
Absolutely.
Sure.
DuQuette says,
DuQuette on DuQuette.
Quoting himself.
this guy's a genius. Okay. Any tarot deck will become a powerful magical tool in your hands the moment you recognize it as such.
Wow.
I've written this little book to help you do precisely that while giving you the opportunity to understand, organize, and systematically install each card no matter what deck you're using. Okay. Install each card in its proper place within your own psyche. By doing this, you will cast a true magical spell upon both yourself and the cards that you're using. Let's see, and what else? Let's see. Every standard 78 card deck, no matter how awesomely beautiful or whimsically silly the artwork may be, is, by virtue of its fundamental structure, genetically linked to all other tarot decks by the golden thread of the shared harmony of numbers. So, I went to, early in my career, I went to, in other words, if you got a 78 card tarot deck, you're working with a miniature working model of the cosmos. And you don't have to understand, you don't have to, unless it's your thing to want to understand it. You don't understand why a machine works to use a machine. Okay. So tarot works because it is a perfect reflection of those universal things. Okay. That's why I call it the tarot architect, because the temple you're building is your own soul. Okay. Or the temple that, and that's one with the great architect's great building. So the early in my career, I went to a tarot convention, and a very, very venerable old tarot reader from Great Britain was there. And I was talking about the Crowley deck. It is even before I think my deck came out. And afterwards, she said she used the tarot deck in her readings, or the Thoth deck in her readings. But she says, I don't care about Aleister Crowley and his GD Magick. Yeah. All I know is that these cards work. That's all I need. Okay. And the idea is, no, you don't have to know any of this stuff. Okay. There are some people that it triggers the internal subjective. It pulls the trigger on that. Okay, fine. Just go forth and fortune tell with it. And it works because it's perfect, or it's as near perfection as anything can be. And it's that golden thread of the mathematical landmarks of existence itself, which is what the Kabbalah does, okay? And the tarot is constructed in pure Sephirot Zaira Kabbalah perfection. It's like the assembly instructions of existence. Okay. And for a lot of people, it helps to understand why this is so awesomely important. In my opinion, there's no question that working with the tarot on any level tends to draw out innate psychic abilities. Okay, and you can get all superstitious about it and say, "Whoa, it's the tarot angels are well." In a very real way, you're right. Okay, but in a very mathematical way, you're also right. Okay, and for some people, it really helps to know why. And usually, people who are into the modern Hermetic magic are comfortable knowing why. And
why, Lon?
But from a psychic point of view, there's no reason. It's not necessary to know why. So,
is there a big why? Is there a why that we need to know, especially if you travel this path?
And the why is that the deck itself is truly a miniature working model of the cosmos, and you have your place in the cosmos too, and your own personal awakening. No matter whether you're aware of there's a name for which your spiritual awakening takes, like in Hermetic Kabbalah or Golden Dawn Magic, I moved from Malkuth to Yesod and from Yesod to Hod, and each of those really are frequencies of consciousness that you awaken to. Okay, you get, I don't want to say progressively smarter, you just get progressively more awake. And it's no big thing, okay? You don't all of a sudden wake up and go, oh, I'm now higher than I was. No, you don't even know what's happening because you're so close to yourself. You don't even, just like a child doesn't feel themselves growing out of their shoes. They just know that bigger shoes now are more comfortable fit, So the big why is to I guess to give you enough confidence of the fact that there is a way for you to continually awaken to self-realization. And the dynamics of tarot help you understand that there are limits to what you used to think was space and time. They make you comfortable in accepting what we're now comfortably talking about with quantum mechanics. that magicians have been talking about and calling it spooky stuff, for millennia. So,
I'd love to touch base. And Dave, do you have any thoughts on this before we sort of move on a little bit to another topic?
Yeah, before we switch topics, just on the, a personal growth front, should anybody have any kind of fear of, I mean, I know there's some superstition, there's the stigma for some people around, tarot and kind of delving into the cosmos there. Should there be any kind of fear or any kind of protection mechanisms or anything somebody should set up when doing this, or maybe at least stripping away their ego?
Actually, fear is just poison. And it's poison to your life. It's poison to your magic. And from a real point of view, there could be there's something to fear in a piece of paper. Especially, have you ever had a paper cut? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just your misunderstanding of the dynamics of that paper. Okay. And don't mix it. Don't mix it with the evil lemon juice either. Okay. If one is still overly superstitious and already doesn't have a good grasp at the universality of spiritual concepts. Okay, if you're still got that waxy buildup of superstition, try to, before you start doing magic or anything, okay, before you open your mouth on the internet, get rid of that first, okay? Because fear is really the very, very worst thing a magician could do. I wrote a book called Low Magic. Okay. The first chapter is, first thing to remember, don't be afraid. Okay. Big type letters. Don't be afraid. So if you're afraid of doing any spiritual practice because of sort of negative consequences, or if you're worried that you're going to open up a portal to all sorts of hideousness in your life, well, you've already opened that portal with that key that's called fear. So I guess that's my answer. Yeah, and I don't proselytize magic. Okay, so
no, but you have been a part of a lot of occult, magical systems, mystical systems, Masonry included. I would throw that on the pile. Dave and I are practicing Martinists. We're part of Ordo Martiniste, and very, very excited to be. We had a whole episode on Martinism a couple episodes back, but occultism, a lot of times, you'll see people getting into it, especially things maybe like OTO or AA or other things like that. Promise empowerment, wisdom, but can often attract, like we saw maybe with Paul Rana and some other folks like that, can attract obsession, delusion, even madness, suicide, things like that. What are some of the darker consequences you've seen of misusing these types of systems, and how do you keep yourself grounded and not sort of flying off the edge?
I'm lazy.
Oh, well, that's easy enough.
In a way, I'm just too lazy to. It takes real commitment to go mad, and I just don't have that kind of commitment. Yeah, it is a dramatic spiritual art form. Okay, in the same way, and I really mean it. It's a dramatic. You dramatize and personify natural powers.
Okay, psychopomp kind of.
Yes, and natural forces. You personify them. Okay, but if one's understanding of what it is that you're dealing with is still not complete enough to raise you above the level of thinking that the characters on the screen in a movie aren't really, although they're real and can, in the sense that they advance the plot of the film, and do so by triggering emotional responses in the audience. But if you actually think that that Darth Vader is really going to jump off that screen and kill you with his lightsaber, then if you're still that limited in your understanding of what is and what is not, magic is a very stupid thing for you to get into. Okay. In the book, I wrote a book called The Key to Solomon's Key that deals with two things simultaneously: the personal transformative experience of Freemasonry on the individual's consciousness, and in that I point out that Masonry, while Masonry uses biblical characters in our mythology, and that we do honor the volume of the sacred law, and a lot of our characters are a reference to the Bible. Our main myth is something that is extra biblical, okay, which to many very conservative viewpoints of Christianity is blasphemy.
Well,
and we're quite comfortable with it because we know it advances moral lessons, and it not only moral lessons. That's just the lowest level of stuff. Okay, it advances and it triggers and it truly initiates. It truly opens up greater doors of perception, greater levels of consciousness. And, when they say Masonry makes a good man better, boy, that's so true. Okay. That doesn't mean that there are a lot of Masons who are, can I say asshole?
sure.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
There's a lot of Masons who are assholes. Okay. But
You can even say some bitches.
But I don't want to get anybody's mother involved, okay? But they would have been bigger, worse assholes if they weren't Masons, okay? It has its effect, and that's why Masonry is such a big tent. That's why there's Masons of every political spectrum, and it transcends all of that, and if it doesn't appear that way for every Mason you bump into. It's because everybody's got a different level of accepting it, as a personal identification and as a personal discipline. But the idea that we should, each of us, be a Solomon. He's the archetype of the magician. Okay. And what did Solomon do? Okay, when he inherited the kingdom, and I don't believe in the historicity of this whole thing. Okay, this is just a great religious or spiritual allegory. But when he inherited the kingdom, he inherited the job of making a building that would be the miniature working model of the cosmos, a building whose dimensions and whose proportions were so perfect that it represented like a small tuning fork. It represented the great tuning fork of God. And just like a huge tuning fork vibrating an E flat, if you've got a little E flat tuning fork, it will vibrate it without touching even the big ohm B flat, and it will resonate. So if you build the temple perfectly, it will resonate with the big tuning fork, and the presence of God will be in there.
Now, let me ask you this. If you said that this is the cosmos, right? And
yes,
the temple's the cosmos, then is this Masonry per se, in a sense?
Well, I have a very broad view of what Masonry is. Okay. I associate it with the great work itself, and each one of us has that great work. And the temple that we're building is in ourselves. And as long as we have a self that we identify with, we're working as a Mason. That's why I'm the tarot architect.
Let me ask you this. You talk about the Holy Guardian Angel, right, as being central to that great work that you just touched on. If this angel is, well, let me ask you, is the angel actually an angel? Is he just a part of the psyche? And, why should a man sort of sacrifice his life's direction to it? Isn't that sort of surrendering free will?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
No, surrender. Yeah, that surrender nothing, sacrifice nothing. The level of consciousness that anyone, whether they know there's words for it or not, anyone who in a balanced way awakens their heart chakra. Okay. It's a level of consciousness that you see talked about with saints of every ilk. Okay, there's people that just all of a sudden go, "Oh my God, it's all love, isn't it? It's love. It's love. It's love is a force. It's like, well, I love everything." Okay, yeah. It's not a big unusual thing. It's the opening of the heart chakra. In Hermetic magic terms, that level of consciousness, that experience is the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. You have to wake up to that level in order for you to actually know who you are. And that when you say, is that an angel, or is it a level of consciousness? Yeah, all angels are levels of consciousness. Okay, that's all they are, personifications of a hierarchy of descending forces of nature. And each of those descending forces of nature are not things with feathers or or spaceships or anything else. They're aspects of consciousness. Just like the modern physicists are saying, existence itself is a phenomena of consciousness. And in a way, the term holy guardian angel is misleading, because you've on an allegorical level, oh yes, the angel appeared to me after. No, the angel only appeared to Abramelin, or to Abraham the Jew, or to Aleister Crowley, or to anybody after, in the course of their life and their personal journey, they fell hopelessly, helplessly, 100%, totally in love with God. Not only that, but they opened something up. And the Hindus will say, what is the, it's on the hot chakra. Okay. They opened something up to receive that same intensity level of love back from the source itself. So it was a two-way current. Okay. Just like when you put a microphone up to a active speaker, it feeds back. Okay. Once you have fallen insanely in love with the God of your choice, it could be anything. Okay. If it's 100% that pure beam coming out of you, and you're opening up enough to receive that same beam back from the source, you've created that feedback. And that level of consciousness, that love feedback, is the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel. And you aren't really who you really are until that happens.
Now, how do you open yourself up to do that?
Everybody is different. Everybody is different. And the only thing that magic and things like you don't do a magic ceremony like it's a recipe, and at the end of the recipe, you take it out of the oven and there it is. Now, it's different for everybody. It's absolutely different, because I can't tell you who you can fall hopelessly, helplessly in love with, but you've got the mechanism to do it in you. And you may not. It is a universal experience. It's not unique. This has been happening to people throughout history, and in my opinion, because I don't really recognize space and time in the same way that a lot of people do, it's going to happen to everybody, whether you just be patient. Don't hurry. It's going to happen. You're already enlightened. You just haven't awakened to the realization of it. And climb up the tree of life is just a progressive awakening to what you already are. One of these days, we're going to wake up and realize we've been each other all along.
Dave, any thoughts?
Some truth to that, I think. So, I like to ask this of most of the Masons we have on our show, especially that are esoteric in nature. Do you think modern Masonry has lost its touch with esoteric core? And, is it still present, or have we gotten away from that?
The beauty of the care that all Masons take in doing things perfectly. Everything from the floor work to the words we speak. Whether they know it or not, they are preserving Masonry in the magic of the craft itself. And at the moment, even in the United States, that is continuing. Okay. When I joined the Masons, I was 50 years old. I'm 77 now. And the average age in my lodge was 76.
Wow.
And there was 1,200 members. It's a pretty big lodge. And I would say 99% of those guys I had very little in common with, except that we were Masons.
Oh.
And that was enough. Because they delivered to me, and I've been studying esoteric stuff, including esoteric Masonry. Okay, before I went in. The only reason I joined finally after all the years was one of my students at Monday night class is going to be Worshipful Master the next year. And he says, I'll make you chaplain. Come on, join the Masons, And so I did. But I've been studying this stuff for 25 years. Okay. And when the door was open and I first heard the words, I got it. I stepped into an egregore. It was an egregore that was so thick, it was like walking into Jell-O, okay? It was like walking into Masonic timeless centuries in the past, okay? I've heard those words before, okay? Yes, oh God, I'm getting it. And I didn't even, I was at the beginning of the EA ritual, and I'm, okay, I got it. And then none of these guys, none of the officers, or very few of them, really in their normal life cared a great deal about how wonderful it truly was what they were doing, what they were giving to me. But they cared enough to do it absolutely perfect. Letter perfect. Magically letter perfect. That was their magic. And that's honestly all they needed to do. And it was like they gave me the key to the universe in a jeweled casket that they'd never opened themselves, but they were delivering it safely to me across the centuries. And that's all they needed to do. The craft itself is a living entity.
On that point, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I wanted to read a little bit of something that I heard last night at Essex Lodge, our mother lodge, and that is that music is that elevated science which affects the passions by sound. There are few who have not felt the charms of music and acknowledge its expressions to be intelligible to the heart. It is a language of delightful sensation, far more eloquent than words. It touches and gently agitates the passions. It wraps us in melancholy and elevates us in joy. It melts us in tenderness or excites us to war. It is truly congenial to the nature of man, for, by its powerful charms, even the most discordant passions may be subdued. Now, that's from part of what we talked about the lodge. It's obviously in English, so it can be read aloud to the public as opposed to if it were in cipher, in which case it was something that's only for Masons.
It's monitorial, so
yes,
share
exactly. So you're a musician and a fantastic one. How do you mix your music with your esotericism?
My music is my esotericism. Okay, even I don't purposely set out to the lyrics and things like that. I like to be true to myself in in my lyrics, but I don't want to be preachy or anything else. Music is just an expression of what I am, who I am, and a snapshot of my soul. And I wish I could say that I was a great musician, okay, but I'm just a cowboy finger picker, So I'm not
in that, but
I'm not sure my music, my guitar playing, elevates many people in and of itself. But it's just an extension, an appendage to me putting myself out there, saying, "Hi, I'm one of you," and this is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm feeling right now, and this is my way of showing that I love you,
Do you, well, first of all, do you have a deck handy?
Yeah.
Would you?
Do I? Deck handy. Yeah.
What kind of stupid question is that?
I know. Would you do us the great honor of maybe pulling a couple of cards for the show, or maybe the future of the show? That would be pretty cool.
Sure.
Without giving us any kind of disabilities.
I always tell people, now I'm going to have you ask the question, frame the question, because the question is more important than the answer. As a matter of fact, the question is the answer. So what's the question again?
Dave, what's the question?
I'm leaving that up to you.
Oh, man. Passing the buck. Okay.
Cards say you are indecisive.
Okay. So the question is, Dave and I love this show. We want to make it our full-time gig, if possible, right? Rather than just something we do on the side. And I would like to see how the show progresses and where we end up with it.
How the show progresses and how we end up with it. Okay. And let's say how it progresses in the let's
say you're the next
couple years.
Next couple of years. I was giving a realistic time frame.
So I'm going to shuffle it.
Be realistic.
I'm going to shuffle it. And does the show have what you would consider is a birth date?
Yes, I would say it was, what would you say, May of 2024?
Okay.
Maybe March. Would have a better memory for the stuff.
It depends on whether we want to go by our first episode or when we had a conversation about it.
Well, I think it's the conversation. It's when we were in the cigar bar and we were talking about it. And that was probably...
Yeah, that was like the end of February, early March. Let's look up the exact date.
Yeah. Okay.
And our first episode was in May of 2024, but we didn't put it out till June.
Okay. So would March 1st generally be accurate? Okay. So, okay, March 1st. Okay. We'll call the show a Night of Cups. Okay, I'm going to shuffle. You guys just listen. Don't clear your mind.
Don't clear.
You can't clear your mind. Okay. You could clear your mind, you'd be Buddha. Okay. You just just wallow in this question and tell me when to stop.
So it was actually March 10th, 2024.
March 10th. Now I know exactly what you are. Okay.
Okay. And stop.
Okay. What I'm going to do is spread the cards out, and I'm going to pick your significator. I'm going to cut the deck there, and we're going to look at 3 cards. But before I do that, I have to turn the cards up, and we're forced to look at a card. It's not really part of your reading, but we got to look at it, don't we? And it is the card that represents that time period just before your meeting.
Yep.
Okay. So you may have been on the tail end of trying something that didn't work out, and you're discussing something that you want to work out.
Very much so.
So I'm going to spread them out like a Vegas card dealer. God, it was so smooth. I wish you could have seen that. Okay. Very impressive. Now I'm going to look for the Knight of Cups. Yeah. Knight of Cups. And I'm not disturbing the order of the cards because you're telling me when to stop, like a snapshot. Just like an astrologer uses your birth information as a snapshot of the heavens. When you told me to stop, that was a snapshot of the cards. So let me see. Well, I'm afraid you're not in the deck. No. No, you're
What have you done with it, Lon?
You're just off the page.
You're just toward the very end. Okay. No matter what your question is,
You can forget it.
okay. Now, there's a card at the bottom of the deck. Now, it's the furthest one away from you. Okay. But it's the closest one right behind you. So objectively, it's the furthest one away. There's a lot of cards in between you and it. But because it's like a snake with its tail in its mouth, it's the closest one to you, right behind you, almost like an influence. It's that is right behind you. And it is where are we? There we are. 7 of Cups. Okay. Illusionary success. Now, I hope you guys at your meetings don't hold it in a tavern someplace and are drinking too many martinis.
We do not.
Okay. Very good. Stay away from that. But actually, it is, in a sense, it is coming off of that illusionary success that kicked off the idea for this new project. So I'm not going to interpret anything, but you should be glad that one's far away from you.
Well, yeah, because isn't that usually wishful thinking and illusions?
Yeah.
Knight of Cups.
Yeah.
There it is.
So there you are. Okay. It's a very cool. It's my wife's birthday card, my son's birthday card. And they're both beautiful people. Okay. Here's the reading. Princess of Cups. You're a Knight of Cups. It's a Princess of Cups. First of all, that's, from the Yod-He Vav-He point of view, mother, father, son, daughter. Okay. It only goes from daughter back to father. Okay, that too is a snake with its tail in its mouth. But the Princess of Cups is also the throne of the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is the Holy Grail itself. Okay. It has a I Ching hexagram that's associated with the Princess of Cups. And it's the I Ching hex that, there it is. That is called decrease. Okay. And of course, the I Ching, the bad ones are never really bad, and the good ones are never really good. Yeah, okay, they got some. But it points to a time when there's a decrease in resources, a decrease in energy and such. But it's a time to, instead of embellish stuff and take a lot of really precipitous steps, it's a time to simplify, but simplify like an artist would simplify. Make simplification an art form, because it's a good time for that, a really good time for that. Your second one, it is the Lord of Shortened Force, the Eight of Swords.
Oh, okay. You got Jupiter there. I see.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like I Ching hexagram, it's not and it's Jupiter in Pisces.
Right.
Okay. Jupiter's really happy in Pisces. Okay. The problem is not in the Jupiter or the Pisces, but the fact that it's an 8. Okay. You overthink things and stuff. As far as the project goes, though, when I was first drafted, I was drafted to write the book on the Thoth Tarot, Crowley's Aleister Crowley, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot. They sprung it at me and I said, "Oh, okay, I don't know enough about it. I can't do it." And I went back to the hotel room and I said, "Please give me some encouragement on this book that I'm about to write." And this one came up. And it's not a bad, but it's like a toothache. And the project took 3 years, and it was like pulling teeth every step of the way. And it was the best book I've ever written until this one. Okay. Yeah, it really, I'm truly proud of it. Okay. The third one is 4 of Cups. Blended pleasure. Crowley calls it luxury. And to me, it's a very fortuitous card because it's a 4. It also lines up with your Jupiter thing there. And Crowley says, well, you gotta kind of beware. It's almost too much of a good thing, and how too much of a good thing can lead to, you eat too much food, eat too much rich food. You like rich food, just hang on. It's just, you don't want to get carried away past this because it'll turn into the 5 of Cups, which is loss and pleasure. But I have a feeling that what we're looking at here is really determined by the dates we see here, and how maybe after a little bit of anxiety and seemingly one little kind of tiny setback after another, just frustrating rather than catastrophic. leading to something like this coming up in summertime, and it may be this summer.
Wow.
And okay, and just like that, we had the Jupiter in Pisces, where it belongs. We've got the moon in Cancer, where it belongs. So you have no trumps, which should be a bumper sticker. No trumps usually indicates that you're not on a huge, you're not a slave. You're not bound to a great destiny moment where there's nothing you can do to make it any better or nothing you can do to make it any worse. Okay. Your decisions, okay, your decisions, your attitudes and emotional being really has an effect on how things are going to work out. You're at one of those moments where, hey, you can screw things up or you can really make them good. You know, you're not bound by big karmic waves or okay. And I think this is our clue to instead of trying to do anything really big and ostentatious, to keep it beautifully, almost Zen-like, simple.
Oh,
rather than flashy.
That's great.
Have a background of a bamboo forest or something on your green screen, you know?
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Lon. We really appreciate that reading. That was very, very kind of you, and thank you for shedding some light. That's
don't believe a word I say. Okay.
Well, I picked the card while you were doing that, and I think it's evocative of not only this episode, but the emotion that you bring to people, and that's this card.
Oh my God, that's the best freaking card in the deck.
So, we really want to thank you for your time today. We'd love to have you back. I mean, I think we've just scratched the surface of a bunch of stuff to talk about. Next time, really like to talk about John D. and start talking about some of those other much more esoteric, old school magic stuff. So, whenever you can find a little time to come back, we'd love to have you on again, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, just email me and we'll work something out for sure.
Awesome.
That would be fantastic.
Before we let you go, do you have any shameless plugs? Do you want us to, we'll definitely put a link in the bio to your books and, yep.
Shameless or shameful, whichever you prefer.
Whichever. I don't know. If you have anybody listening in Sacramento, the Sacramento area, on Saturday, the 27th, I'm doing a show of my music at a place called Musiclandria, which is a very, very cool venue, actually. But I don't know how many Sacramento people you've got, but it's worth flying in for.
Absolutely,
sure,
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Anytime I can come to Cali, it's always a fun time. So, thank you again for your time, Lon. I just want to thank you again. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for the wisdom that you impart to other people. Thank you for your music. And until next time, this has been Brothers of the Arcana, and I'm your co-host, Alex Aldea.
I am Dave Ferrigno. Thank you for joining us.
And this has been Lon Milo DuQuette. Until next time, take care.
That's a wrap on today's journey through Tarot, Kabbalah, and the cosmic comedy of existence. Immense gratitude to Lon Milo DuQuette for reminding us that wisdom can be profound and playful, and that even the Fool card has the last laugh. If you felt a spark today, do your future self a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you never miss another step on the path. This episode was powered by Occult, the only cappuccino brewed with planetary correspondences. Finally, a coffee that knows your rising sign. Until next time, keep shuffling, keep singing, and remember, the universe is always in on the joke. We'll see you inside the next mystery.